What you're about to hear will inspire, entertain, and keep you cheering for more. Youth baseball and softball players, coaches, and fans from around the globe join Coach Aaron and the field team on their journey to make the game even more fun and even more exciting than ever. From mound visits to dugout stories and game-changing plays, we bring you tips and stories from players, coaches, trainers, and more. Now. Make sure you've got your eye black ready, and let's slide into the action. On the count of 3, let's hear a big, loud play ball. 1, 2, 3.
Play ball, ladies and gentlemen.
Dylan,
Yes,
that
sir.
pass? Is that good?
Yes, sir. That was
you get
amazing.
thumbs up? All right.
Amazing.
Awesome. Welcome back to the Slide Podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Coach Aaron, and I am joined today with Mr. Hollywood, Dylan. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
Man, I'm good, dude. This is episode 30 in season 4. And this episode comes out in like 3 or 4 days now, and so that's kind of exciting, man. I can actually talk about things that are relevant right now, and people hear them in almost real time. So it's new for me, Dylan. Well, man, out in Arizona, man, what's been going on?
Nothing. Just playing a lot of baseball, like going to the gym, working out. Lots of school. School's been amazing so far. Yeah.
When did you start back?
When did I start back? It was like August 30 or July 31st.
Wow.
Yeah, it was early.
You guys start back when July, like in July.
Yeah, it wasn't fun.
Wow.
But
Man, you guys must get out early though.
I don't think so. I think we get out in like later May.
Okay.
But yeah, I missed the first 2 days because I was in San Diego playing this World Series tournament with my uncle's national team, which is like the best kids in Arizona and stuff.
Yeah.
And we actually won that tournament. It was really fun.
Awesome. And now, which tournament was that?
It was like a USSSA World Series tournament.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you guys just beat everybody, just beat them down,
Yeah.
or like was it some good games?
So yeah, we were 4-0 going to like our last pool play game, and when we played this team, they were called MVP Hustle. We lost pretty bad. They're a really good team. They have some pretty big hitters.
Oh, I know who they are. Yeah.
Yeah, we lost 14-3 that game. They hit 3 home runs off of us. Actually, they did really good. But then we played them the next day for first game of bracket play. And then we put this kid in the pitch. He let up 6 runs. They hit 3 tanks again. And then after that, they put me in for like 4.1 innings. I let up 0 runs, 3 hits, and I pitched that game. And then we got up in the lead and we won that game. So that was a really big game for us to go to the championship and win.
That's what's up, dude. So you got the win.
Yes, sir.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Well, like, what's your favorite position, Dylan?
So just recently,
Is it the mound?
No. So I have a very good glove in the infield, especially because I'm getting taught by one of the greatest shortstops I know right now, but when he used to play, and but yeah, so probably shortstop would be my favorite position. But I just got into catching again. Well, I never really used to catch, but I caught like 2 games, and then I got scared of it because I didn't think I was like mentally prepared for it. But then I got right back into it now, and I am a pretty good catcher, I would say. But I think my favorite position, I would say shortstop.
Okay. All right. Well, I knew you had pitched, and I know you got a good bat, and I needed to refresh my memory and our audience's memory around like what position is yours.
Yep.
So, well, cool. Well, so you won a World Series. That's pretty awesome, dude. I went to Dallas, Texas, 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, something like that, and went to the Premier Prospects Youth World Cup, and so there was teams from all over the country and international that came to this tournament. And dude,
Wow.
there was some ballers, man.
Yeah.
Um, like some serious ballers. And plus, like, dude, like some of these international teams, like their fans, slash parents, dude, they brought like total, like full percussion. They had these giant speakers, dude. They went
Wow.
full on out. It was super cool to be there, though. So shout out
Yeah.
Premier Prospects for inviting us out there and meeting some really cool kids and learning some more about the youth game. So I mean, every tournament we
Yeah.
go to, we're learning more new stuff. So hey, I gotta throw it out there because Mateo, the baseball kid, Dylan, you remember we had the batting glove challenge of which design was going to win, and you were close, man. You were close,
Very.
right?
Yeah. I got
Yeah,
like fourth
your
or
home
third.
sweet home. Home
Yeah.
sweet home was your gloves.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mateo's is out. So go
Yeah.
see home batting gloves. These are the toxic barrels edition, explosive, caution, all this fun stuff. Go to homebattinggloves.com and make sure you get yourself some toxic barrels. You'll see the toxic right there, and then the barrels is on the oh on the wrist there. So make sure you go get yourself some toxic barrels, man. Mateo came through and won the contest. And I think this might not be the only contest that we have with home batting gloves. So shout out Home Batting Gloves for giving us this opportunity to have a batting glove design competition and maybe a slide mitt in the future. I don't know. Go ahead and get that. Go ahead
Ooh,
and get
that'd
your
be
brain
nice.
working there, Dylan. So anyway, man, well let's get to our guest tonight. So joining us from Dallas in the Fort Worth area, Mr. Ole Knuckles. Ole Knuckles, how you doing, sir?
Boy, I'm doing fine and dandy. It is a delight to be here, Coach Aaron. Dylan, I'm a big fan of the show, and boys, let me tell you, you guys do an excellent job. Interviewing the players. I believe that the youth has been missing a platform to share their opinions, their thoughts about this great game of baseball. And boy, I'm a big fan of yours.
That is, dude, that is so awesome to hear, right, Dylan? Like when you hear
Yeah.
fans of the show, and especially someone like Old Knuckles, man, you just like it just gives you cold chills, man. Well,
Yes, sir.
as well joining us is a young man who is 19 years old. He's in the same location, Mr. Fisher Polydoroff. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, guys. It's great to be here. I'm excited to share my story and share the road to Banana Ball, and I'm very thrilled to be a guest on the show. There's been a lot of cool episodes that I've gotten to check out, and
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that Old Knuckles and Fisher Polydoroff put on a show for y'all.
Yeah, and for our audio only listeners out there, there's a total of three of us here present. And like Fisher alluded to, Banana Ball is involved. And so anytime you got Banana Ball, something crazy may happen. And you know what? We have got the most coolest guest I believe we have had here in the Banana Ball realm, but even outside of that. So
Much obliged.
Fisherman, here's how we start every episode, dude. I want you to tell us a little bit about Fisher and, wrap it up and tell us what your favorite cereal is.
Yeah, my name's Fisher Polydoroff. I'm 19 years old, and I was born in Connecticut. Currently reside in DFW, Texas, and ever since I was a kid, I've always been inclined to learning new hobbies and interests and diversifying my repertoire with anything I can get my hands on. I'm a multi instrumentalist. I play over 10 different instruments. I speak three languages: Portuguese and Spanish. And I'm a ball player. I've been playing ball since I was a little kid. I'm a Renaissance man. My talents are not limited to on the field. I do a lot of cool stuff off the field too. And this last summer, I was given the opportunity to play for the Visitors, a developmental team in the Savannah Bananas organization. And I spent 6 weeks down in Savannah. And it was absolutely life-changing. It was a miracle to see what the Bananas are doing with the fan interaction, creating an experience, a show, not only just a baseball game. It was refreshing to see what is going on in the world of sports, and what will be going on, making waves as the Bananas are doing right now. And I was eating a lot of cereal down in Savannah. My favorite cereal would have to be Wheaties, because Old Knuckles was actually the first knuckleball pitcher to ever be put on the Wheaties box, and
Oh
definitely the
yeah,
last. Because I don't know too many knuckleballers that are going to be on the Wheaties box.
that's right. Wow, Wheaties. Now I have to say, dude, I think in probably I know 2 seasons, if not more, we've been asking this question. And that is the first time I believe we have ever gotten Wheaties. So, I
Well,
mean, such an iconic. I mean,
oh,
just
hey,
for the
go figure.
cereal boxes.
Hey, they don't make them like they used to. Old Knuckles, he'll assure you of that. And the Wheaties, yeah, man, that's a tried and true classic. Old Knuckles, he doesn't really mess with the fruity pebbles and the cocoa puffs of 2025. He's keen to the classics.
Well, Fruity Pebbles is mine, man, but it's okay, dude. It's okay. I understand old Knuckles. He needs that wheat and that fiber. I
He
mean,
does.
he needs that good stuff. So,
Yeah, yeah.
well, awesome, dude. So you said you're 19. Like what? I mean, we now know you've been in Bananaland. But what brought you there? Like, what was your path like? Playing as a kid into high school and such. Like, what did that journey look like?
Yeah, so I grew up playing soccer. I was a soccer player until I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I remember I had a friend named David that one time he picked me up on the way to go play baseball at baseball practice, and I played select soccer. We had to dress up in uniform every single practice. My friend David wasn't wearing any baseball pants, or he was just showing up in t-shirts and shorts. And I asked him, I was like, yeah, "Are you going to baseball practice and you're not wearing like your uniform? Like that's pretty cool. Like, I wish I could just show up to my sport and my street clothes." And ever since that moment, I was interested in baseball. But I grew up playing soccer. I was, religiously a soccer player. I still love soccer. Big fan of Brazilian soccer, especially. But so I grew up playing baseball, and I was always into the historical side of baseball. I was a savant. Any sort of baseball fun fact or info from the start of America's pastime, all the way back in the 1860s, I was into it. I could name all the old timey players and just a ton of fun facts. And growing up, that helped me fall in love with the game. And I'm still sort of a baseball purist myself. I love the original, the traditional game of baseball, tried and true. But what the Bananas have done now to make it more interactive and make it more entertaining is it definitely it appealed, pun intended, to my interests. And so I grew up, had a really good youth career. I actually wasn't the strongest player growing up. I didn't hit my first home run until I was 13 years old.
Okay.
And whenever I hit puberty, that's when my home runs they started flying out of the ballparks. And I kind of I established myself as a premier power hitting utility player in the DFW area. And I grew up playing with the Texas Sticks. I grew up playing with a lot of organizations in the DFW area, and picking up for travel ball. So I've been there, done that with all of travel ball. And I guess I can't really say that it helped. It did help me a lot with meeting new people and making connections that I would never forget for the rest of my life. Some of my
Right.
best friends and teammates came from travel ball. But I remember I have memories of being. I was always really interested in diving plays and trick plays. Like there was times where unnecessarily I would barehand a ball on a second base flip and turn a double play. And I remember some of my coaches would get on to me for that. So growing up, I always just kind of understood that it was a game, and to me as an 8-year-old, as a 9-year-old, it was pure fun. And now getting to play with the visitors last summer in Savannah against the Bananas and Party Animals, it brought back that fun. It was like I was a kid again, playing on the diamond and just going out there and remembering that it's just a game and it's purely for the love of the game.
That's a good point, dude. And Dylan, does it feel like? All right, let me ask you a question, Dylan. You ever play Uno?
Yeah,
All right, you play Monopoly every once in a while, maybe?
love Monopoly.
Really? It takes way too long to play that game, so
How
I'm
it
not the
does.
biggest fan. But all right, so those are games. Same thing as baseball. Does baseball feel the same way to you?
Not really, but yes, at the same time, because I feel like you can have fun playing what you're playing, but I just feel like baseball is a little bit more competitive. I don't know.
Well, of course. Yeah, there's a score. I mean,
Yeah,
and let's just say, I mean, if you lost in Monopoly, who really knows, right? But
yeah,
but that's still the kind of concept that I still want kids to understand. That yeah, it's a game because there's scores being kept and there's a winner and loser. But at the end of the day, this game was. I mean, old Knuckles can tell us
Mm-hmm.
like how baseball got started. It wasn't all of this flash and all this money and stuff at the beginning. Just a pure game, right, Knuckles?
Oh, you betcha by golly, wow, it was. I remember whenever I was playing, they were sending guys coming from being plumbers all the way to the major leagues and the coal miners especially. I grew up. My family was a bunch of it was coal miners, and it was hard growing up and the game was changing, but back then it was pure, man. It was we would go down to the in the alleyways and we'd hit bottle caps with broomsticks and man, the Brooklyn Bums, man. We grew up. It was nothing but just it was a sport to us. There
Yeah.
wasn't any politics. You'd go down to the ballpark and enjoy a nice hot dog and an ice cold soda pop, and man, it was just man, life was it was pure back then.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, and I think that's too many times these days kids make it out to be something more than it is, and that's when the fun disappears. When it becomes something more than a game is when the fun disappears. So
Oh,
anyway,
you bet.
Dylan, I'm gonna try not to ramble too much today, but Dylan, I'm gonna let you go ahead and throw a question out there.
all right, all Knuckles. So, what is your trick play?
So I got a bunch of trick plays up my sleeve, um, but I would say my favorite one is definitely the old Knuckles off of the. I throw a ball behind my back and off the pillbox hat. Now the great thing about these pillbox hats is that they're flat, so the ball it's got a nice landing spot on my head, and it doesn't hurt too bad either. It doesn't. They're not going to throw me in the loony bin anytime soon because I've been taking banana balls off the head. But that's definitely my favorite trick play to execute, and I'm looking forward to the chance to perform that out on the 2026 Banana Ball World Tour.
So with a name like Old Knuckles, I assume you must throw some knuckleballs. Was is that where it came from?
You would assume correctly, sir. I've been throwing the knuckleball since I was a young kid. I actually learned from Cy Young Award winner R.A. Dickey himself. I was fortunate enough. My dad worked with R.A. Dickey, and I spent a couple of days with him down in spring training. And I was about 8 years old, learning the knuckleball for the first time. And his words of wisdom, his expertise really inspired me. And I was throwing it from I probably threw 1,000 knuckleballs um, every single day. It felt like for years, man. It was very tough, but it's been very rewarding. Now I've made a living off of throwing this trick pitch.
That's awesome. Dylan, do you see a lot of knuckleballs at your age?
I actually throw a knuckleball.
Oh
Really?
yeah?
Say it ain't
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It's not probably
How,
like as good as you would think it is, but it doesn't really spin. It just like goes straight and it spins like barely any, and then it just drops last second.
How do you throw your knuckleball? Let me grab a baseball real quick.
yeah, how you grip it?
We got a baseball here for you. It's a baseball I was given by a fan. It's signed by some guys from the 1950s. They were an Atlantic League team, and it's got a bunch of old signatures. It looks like one of
Wow.
those. It looks like a ball from the Sandlot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, with my knuckleball grip, I grip it with 2 fingers right behind the horseshoe, and my thumb off of the side, ring finger off the side. You don't want to touch any of the seams because the seams are what trigger rotation. A lot of guys try to start off throwing a 4-finger knuckleball right along the seams, and with the knuckleball, topspin is your friend, and backspin is the ultimate nightmare for a knuckleballer. As soon as the knuckleball spins backwards, it turns into a BP fastball. The physics of how the pitch moves, it's at the equilibrium right here on the way to the plate. A little bit of topspin is actually ideal for the knuckleball.
And how do you grip it again?
I grip it with 2 fingers right behind the horseshoe.
Okay.
And then there's actually a couple of different grips. A lot of knuckleballers have played around with it. And a common misconception about the pitch is that you throw it with your knuckles like that. That actually hasn't been done since the dead ball era in the early 1900s. Eddie Saccott was a knuckleball pitcher with the 1919 Black Sox. The White Sox had bet on the World Series. And as the pitch evolved, people kind of realized that gripping it with the fingernails would allow for a lot more predictability with how the ball was going to come off of your fingers. You could kind of it's a lot more consistent that way. So guys have thrown it reverse horseshoe along this part of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like Phil Niekro's thrown a knuckleball like that. He would also kind of split the horseshoe like this. And the key to the knuckleball is just not touching any of the laces. You wanna have your fingers off on both sides of it. And my depth within my hand is actually pretty close. Some guys throw it with a little bit more depth in between the ball and the hand, but Phil Niekro used to throw it. He used to just kind of lodge his hand and get as much as the ball in his hand, just for more consistency as well.
Wow,
That's how Old Knuckles grips his knuckleball.
How is that similar to how you do it, Dylan?
No, so I have like smaller hands, so I do the 4-finger knuckleball right now.
Yeah.
But I'll obviously try what you just told me. But I do it like a 4-seam, but I don't hold it on the laces. I just hold it below the laces, but I just do 4 fingers.
Cool. Yeah, that's actually how I learned before. That's how I taught a bunch of my teammates. My teammates, whenever I was growing up throwing knuckleballs at practice, it was always, Fisher, come show me the knuckleball, come throw knuckleballs. And a lot of my teammates started throwing it with 4 fingers. And a lot of guys in the MLB, a lot of knuckleballers, like Tim Wakefield threw his with 3 fingers with the pinky off. The more fingers you have on the knuckleball, the higher chance it has of spinning, of one of those fingers catching on and triggering rotation.
That's interesting because I'm not a pitcher. I never claimed to be. I entered practice one time trying to pitch Dylan and Fisher, and I went sidearm. The dude looked at me once because I thought I had him. Second time he took me to the wall, and I realized that I need to go back. I need to go back to the outfield. So
yeah.
But I also learned, and I've always thrown it with my knuckles. Mm-hmm. So, and now, granted, I've never pitched in a game, but like, I'm learning something here today. So that's good stuff, Dylan. Awesome. Well, dude, let me ask you a question, man. So you get to Bananaland. Like, how was the character Old Knuckles received?
Oh, it was absolutely it was marvelous. Old Knuckles was received with highest regards and very in esteemed fashion. I was a lot of guys were big fans of the characters and I got along great with everybody in the organization. The Bananas especially were super supportive and they found it hilarious. I knew whenever I entered Bananaland that I had a niche and a role to fulfill, being a vintage baseball player. It had not been done yet. It had not been. No one had really bought in and sold out for this persona. And I'm very, very blessed to have to have all the attributes to fulfill this role. I think it's very fulfilling to myself, to my inner child that grew up a baseball historian and very passionate about America's pastime.
Well, I don't, Dylan. If you go back, or our audience, if you go back and you look at the video, because the Bananas posted this when they introduced and welcomed the visitors into the clubhouse, Fisher showed up in a suit. Actually, no. Old Knuckles showed up in a suit,
Yes.
and he gave Jesse a little bit of run for his money. Like he was looking nice and dapper there. So
And
sorry
Dib,
about, yeah, like he was doing it. Now I do want to say this, and Dylan, you're up next. But now you're 19 years old, Fisher, and like you had the opportunity to go play and continue your baseball career. What made you choose Bananaland and Banana Ball?
yeah, so I was kind of dead set growing up on becoming an MLB player. That was you know that's all of our goals growing up playing baseball. And it's funny. I remember I had a conversation with my mom talking about Banana Ball because she was kind of a fan before I was, and I was tapped into what the Bananas were doing, but I hadn't really studied exactly what their principles were and how they treat the fans, how they really put the fans first. And that was exactly everything that I've always been about. Growing up playing baseball, like I was made to entertain. I've been doing magic shows since I was 8 years old. I've been playing instruments since I was about 10, speaking languages, and really just I love to entertain. I love to sing. I love to write songs, and the culmination of all these talents off the field led me to think about how I could use this to to share my passion for just what I'm about, and to share my story to impact a lot of people and make a lot of people smile. Because at the end of the day, if I went back to college for another 3 years, there's no chance that I would have gotten to play my walk-up song on the saxophone and sign autographs before the game, after the game, sing to people in the pre-plaza. It was life-changing to see this new avenue of baseball that's been opened up, something that wasn't around when I was a kid. Banana Ball is so new. It's exploded in the last 3 or 4 years. That if this was a thing when I was a kid growing up, practicing all my instruments and speaking my languages and doing magic, I would have definitely wanted to be a part of this. And it's very cool to see this, to see this idea of Jesse's come to life and really fulfill my inner child. So I feel like it was a natural decision to. I don't think there's anybody on earth that is better fit for the role that I play in Bananaland.
I agree, man. I completely agree.
Thank you.
Dylan, I'm gonna let you go.
All right, so if a kid was asking you, or what advice would you give a kid right now, like to play baseball? Like, what advice would you give him to pursue his dreams in playing baseball?
I would say definitely be as dedicated as you can be. Passion and inspiration in baseball, it can't be generated by parents. It's got to be instilled by a young age. The kids that love the game, regardless of the outcomes, are the ones that are ultimately going to make it. Because this game is very humbling. I've been playing it almost all my life, and it'll get you down, and it'll bring you to the top. Baseball is a very humbling game. I've learned over the years that the more you can separate yourself from the outcomes, the better off you'll be mentally, because there's a huge mental side to baseball that a lot of youth baseball players are they just aren't prepared to deal with, or they haven't experienced yet. But as the game becomes less of a game, as the game becomes a business, as the game becomes filling roster spots and money is involved, then it can push kids away from the game, and I hate to see it, but especially with what the Bananas are doing to captivate that fun and that passion and excitement is bringing kids to not only banana ball, but it's also bringing kids to baseball. A lot of critics of the Bananas don't really realize that it's just spreading awareness for the game that I grew up playing, and the game that the Savannah Bananas have trademarked.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many kids, Dylan, and I'm sure you see this. I mean, you're in the middle of youth baseball, but like, the game is, if you're a born athlete, sometimes kids are just born with natural God-given talent, right? And that gets you through, probably 12, 13, maybe 14 years old. But unless you engage the sport, man, and fall in love with it, like when it does really get hard and those natural talents don't just get you through, like, it's a hard game. And like Fisher said, it's so humbling, man. And because just when you think you got it figured out, that's when you fall again. And
Oh yeah.
but you know what, Fisher, I'll say this. Baseball is a lot like life.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get older, Fisher as well. I'm considerably older, but for all of us though, man, you're going to fail more times than you're going to succeed in life, and
Mm-hmm.
your ability to put that in the past and move forward, same as in baseball, right? Forget that last at bat, even if you just finished a game 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts, like you
Mm-hmm.
got to forget it. You got to move on. And life's a lot like that, man. Uh,
100%.
yeah. I mean, it's baseball will eat you up and spit you out, and life will do the same thing to you. So, like, you got to love it. You got to love it. You got to have that passion, and you got to understand that it's you're never the master of baseball. So,
Absolutely. I
um,
love what the Bananas are doing with taking the pressure off of the performance and putting an emphasis on entertainment. Whenever you go out there, and I'm sure a lot of almost every single banana ball player could attest to this. Whenever you go out there, let's say you go 0 for 4, or you have a really bad outing, the environment and the switch that flips whenever you get to go out there and see thousands of people that are just happy to meet you and happy to be face to face with a player, because going to MLB parks, you don't get that experience. You don't get the interactions with the banana ball players, especially on the social media side. I mean, we take the entire visitor squad. We take a lot of pride of being really interactive on social media, and it's super cool to see the impact that we can have on young fans and people that that need the positivity and light that the Savannah Bananas organization brings to America.
that's 100%, dude. And I will say, dude, I know last year was like, I think last year was it the year before the first time we had the visitors, but like
Mm,
you guys, I will say you guys, like that team is not supposed to build a fan base.
yeah.
Um, but you guys did something that's never been done before, man.
Oh yeah.
So many of this year's visitor players. I mean, and some people forget, like Kyle Jackson, KJ. He was a visitor last year, and now
Oh yeah.
he's. I think he's America's sweetheart right now. Like,
He is the Justin Bieber of banana ball.
dude, if we had Teen Magazine, right? All right, let's go back to the 80s. If we had Teen Magazine, he would be on the cover.
Oh,
and,
he
and
definitely
his poster would be on all the walls.
yes.
But I mean, but what you guys truly brought though was a different type of energy than we've seen before, a different type of hunger. And man, I think you by far were up there, man. And what you said just a few minutes ago is, we just had this banana ball tournament, and some kids had performances like they've never had before playing
Mhm.
the game. Like, not because of the walkouts or the
Yeah.
trick plays, but like they were able to relax.
Oh
And,
yeah.
and, and we had a kid hit his very first over the fence home run. We had a
Oh, that's
kid,
awesome.
yeah, we had a kid that had never taken the mound in kid pitch before from
Wow.
Canada. He took the mound and pitched in 9U. This kid was 8. He had 9 strikeouts the very
Wow.
first time he got to get on the mound during gameplay. Like, kid,
That's
like it.
awesome.
So, Dylan, you're up, dude.
So, in your whole entire baseball career or soccer career or any like sports career, what was your
Yeah.
favorite moment you remember that like just stood out and you can't forget it ever again?
Oh, that's a great question. There's I've played a lot of ball. I've hit a lot of home runs and struck a lot of dudes out. I remember the first time that I ever threw a knuckleball in a game. I was I think I was 9 years old, and I was probably throwing about 65 miles an hour back then, and floating up a 50-mile-an-hour knuckleball. And it didn't have the best knuckleball movement. It was a slow kind of just floater pitch. But the getting the fear out of the way and finally committing to throw a pitch that would later change my life was it was a surreal experience, because not everybody was throwing knuckleballs, and part of my mantra, the way I live my life is there's always going to be people that are hating on what you're doing if you're doing things that are different. And I've always wanted to be different. I've always craved to be unique and to do things that other people couldn't. So it was a big testament, a big part of my story, throwing the knuckleball, because in a way I feel like the knuckleball kind of represents who I am as a person, and an oddball. It's unpredictable. It's funky. It's weird. It's a very, very cool pitch that I'm blessed to be able to know how to throw.
What's your speed on a knuckle?
It's usually about I throw a fast knuckleball that's like 73, 75, and then a slow one that's like anywhere from 55 to usually about 64.
Gotcha. Now, what's your fastball speed?
My fastball is like 83, 84 right now. I'm working to get up to like 85, 86, 87, because I haven't really been a pitcher. I was a hitter in college and in high school too. But the knuckleball has always been a trick up my sleeve in summer ball, and I had really good success throwing it in summer ball, and a lot of fun too. The old Knuckles character and the storyline actually comes from a summer ball game that I threw in when I was 16 years old. I had the idea, so I just bought a vintage baseball glove off eBay, and I called it Sally, my old mitt Sally. And I went out into in a summer ball game at 16 years old before my junior year, and I winded up like an old timey pitcher, and I used that glove. And my coach at the time, Brett Wellman, I went up to him before, and I was like, "Hey, can I go out there and pitch like an old timey pitcher?" And he's like, "Dude, that'd be hilarious." So I went out there and I struck out a guy, and I went 3 up, 3 down. And the fans, they were gathering from every single field on the complex just to come watch me pitch, because it's something you've never seen before.
That's right.
It was crazy to them, and who would have thought 4 years later I would be doing it professionally and owning it, trademarking it.
Dude, I think, man, just some of that old nostalgia, man. That's what's missing from the game.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like, you bring something to the game that I want my kids to understand, right?
Yeah.
And for me, growing up, yep, I wanted to be an MLB player. Dylan, that's your goal, right? And but we also have to understand where the game began. And I got a question for Knuckles here, because this is related to my question. But so Knuckles, when I watch you hit, right, and I've watched some of your videos and your reels, and back in the day, you guys didn't really have like that static stance. It was like you're waving a heavy bat, like, and you keeping it waist low, like like it's got to be hard to swing the ball, or I'm sorry, swing the bat, like in that style. Is that right, Knuckles?
You betcha it is, Coachy. It was kind of a learning curve at first for me, especially because I grew up in Brooklyn. So I was born in 41, time travel to the year 2025 in 1959. But I grew up, my father was friends with Rogers Hornsby. And Rogers Hornsby, one of the greatest second basemen of all time with the St. Louis Browns, Hall of Fame second baseman. He was the guy that taught me how to hit. He was, ever since I was a young whippersnapper in the streets of Brooklyn, all I could ever want was a baseball bat in my hands, or hitting bottle caps with broomsticks.
That's right, stickball.
Oh yeah, but you betcha. It's there's a reason why none of the game's premier players like Ronald Acuna Jr. and Shohei Ohtani are swinging like Old Knuckles, because it's definitely hard to replicate. But I'll tell you this much: growing up, going to all the ball games at Polo Grounds and Ebbets Field, it was I had the chance to see a lot of players play. I saw Teddy Williams and Stan Musial and Jolton Joe. It was quite the spectacle back then. And, the players, they don't swing them like they used to. There's a focus on contact and not striking out. Nowadays, you hit 45 bombs, you strike out a million times, you're fine and dandy in the league. So it's a different hitting style. It's pure, it's clean and crisp, and I look forward to having the chance to hit further down the road. I think they'll realize that Old Knuckles put on an exhibition at the Kansas City tryout for Banana Ball, and
awesome.
Since then, if I have the chance to land on a team for 2026, I believe there will be some Old Knuckles at bats.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, listen, guys back in the day, like when we talk about swinging lumber, Dylan, like what's the weight bat you swinging right now? What, a drop 5?
32 drop 3, and then I have a wood bat that's like a 32 drop 3. Because I swing BB cores now.
Yeah. Like, now, just for now, what was the bat weights? Do you have an idea, Knuckles? Do you remember the bat weights that you guys were swinging back then?
Oh, I could do you one better. Let me show you real quick. I have 2 vintage. Here we are. All right, gentlemen, I present to you 2 vintage baseball bats. This one right here is an Adirondack. It's a 34 drop 2. Johnny Roseboro model. John Roseboro was a catcher for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Get this, I have a vintage John Roseboro catcher's mitt over here too. I'll go get that later. But this is a Johnny Mize. It's a Hanna brand bat. It's a 34. I think it's a drop 1.5. This one's a log, and part of the old shtick, part of Old Knuckles is having vintage equipment, and as you can see on the latter side of this bat, it's chipped. A lot of these vintage ball bats are they're very brittle. They're like peanut brittle. They can snap on you. And I actually had one breakdown in Savannah. I was swinging a 1968 Roberto Clemente Louisville Slugger.
I saw that.
Yeah, I broke it, and I went to the Louisville Slugger Museum to go meet old Rob's wax figure, and I thanked him for letting me use his bat. He was a talented cat. He was a talented ball player.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, so Knuckles, all right,
Mm-hmm.
The tobacco card. Right, is legendary, and Mr. Honus Wagner. Like when you think back to those days, like what sticks out to you? Like, baseball cards are crazy because that was one of the rarest and most expensive cards I remember as a kid. Like, I remember this one time I walked into a Kmart, right? Or something like that. And there was like a Honus Wagner card sitting there on the shelf somebody had opened. And I was like, oh my gosh, this thing's worth $1 million. Obviously it wasn't. But yeah, so like, did you know Honus Wagner?
Yeah, so a lot of people have been asking me, as they say, Old Knuckles, can you time travel, back before you were born? Can you time travel to the future? And so basically, the way that me and Father Time have arranged, my time travels is of sorts. I can travel back to the past at any point in baseball history. I can't go back before baseball was invented. So I'm limited to about the 1850s, 1860s. We're actually not too sure, but Father Time's going to have me going back to the past to really find out when baseball was truly invented. So throughout baseball history, I've been traveling all over, man. I'll tell you, I met Hannes Wagner. We was down to the Allegheny River, and he was throwing me some pitches, and he was helping me on my swing. And I tells him, Hannes, you was one of my favorite ball players growing up. I really idolized you. I said, why'd you have your cards pulled out from the 1909 T206? And he says they was coming in cigarette packages. I don't want the kids, smoking cigarettes and damaging their lungs, so that they try to get my card. And I thought about that, and I said, oh, Hannes, that's kind of genius. So what I did was I pulled all my old Knuckles cards from the T206 set too, and I keep them in this biscuit box. It says, "You need a biscuit."
Okay.
And here we are, the T206 Old Knuckles Fisher
I
Polydoroff.
like it.
It got the same backends that they got. And I got a bunch of them in here that I'm looking to distribute. So that's basically where the first time I met Hannes Wagner, man, he treated me with the utmost respect, and I was inspired. The first time I met him, I knew right then and there he was going to be my favorite shortstop of all time, the Flying Dutchman. 723 stolen bases. It's just a remarkable player.
Dylan, have you ever heard of this story of Honus Wagner?
No, I don't think so.
All right, so if I'm not mistaken, and maybe Fisher can correct me these days, but that is the single most rarest card in the history of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And just like what he said, right? These cards, they were coming in cigarette packs, and they were narrow cards. There wasn't like that full 2.5 by 3.5 or whatever. And if you got that Honus Wagner card, that card, I want to say I just saw it sometime recently. It sold for 1.5 million or something crazy. Yeah,
it's true. Yeah. They'd come in the old cigarette packages. They were very slim, and kids would be collecting them for just for fun. We used to play a game back in Brooklyn. We would throw baseball cards at the wall, and whoever's card landed closest, we would trade them. We'd collect them. So if you beat your friend, you double up and grab his card. If not, so I'd never throw my good cards at the wall. The Willie Mazes and the Hank Greenbergs. But baseball cards, they've been an important part of baseball history, and I'm very glad that Old Knuckles finally has his own.
Yeah, but like that a player made the decision because it was not the right avenue for kids to get these cards for his to be pulled out. And to me, you wouldn't see that happen today. And that's, to me, again, that's when baseball was the purest, and it wasn't thought of as big business back then. So let me ask you a question, Fisher, and be ready, Dylan. Who is the player from, or Knuckles, maybe one of you two guys can maybe explain this, but who is the most unsung player in baseball history? Like, thinking back, all right, so we know the Teddy Williams, we know, Roger Hornsby, we know the Babe Ruths, of course, but who is that player that you knew or know of that we should know about?
I'll tell you, there's a lot of players. One of the most important players that I've ever met. I was.
Hold on 1 second. Your video went out.
There we are.
There you are.
I'll tell you one of the most important anecdotes that I remember from my time traveling days. So I went back to the year 1944, and I had a conversation with Hoyt Wilhelm. Hoyt Wilhelm, one of the greatest knuckleball pitchers of all time, never really got the notoriety that a lot of the hotshot pitchers were getting back in the days for throwing absolute fuzzballs. You had Bob Fell up there. They were racing motorcycles along his fastball, trying to see how fast it was, and he was getting all the razzmatazz, hop skiddly do around him. but there's a lot of knuckleballers back in the days, a lot of unsung heroes that kind of kept the pitch alive, and nowadays it's kind of dwindling in its popularity. And I'm real fortunate that Father Time given me the opportunity to time travel, because I've gotten to hear from some of the greatest knuckleball pitchers who ever lived, like Hoy Wilhelm, Phil Niekro, Joe Niekro, and going all the way back to almost the invention of baseball with Eddie Sickott in the dead ball era.
Wow. That's, there's history never amazed me in school, but baseball history was always something that just caught my attention. So anyway, Dylan, what you got, dude?
So when did you realize you wanted to become a pitcher instead of any other position?
I guess whenever I realized I wanted to become a pitcher was so whenever I went to Kansas City for my banana ball tryout, I was coming off of a season of being a third baseman, third and second baseman, and a little bit of first base too. And I had been, I've been throwing the knuckleball for a long time at this point, but I had one inning in college. I got put out there on the mound unexpectedly in the 10th inning of a game where we had a 1-run lead in the 10th inning, and I got the save, my first collegiate appearance, my first collegiate save.
Wow.
On 9 knuckleballs and only 1 fastball, and that was kind of the point in my banana ball timeline where I was like, I could pitch, and I could do the old timey wind up. And use an old glove, and I think that would be absolutely hilarious. So I went to the Kansas City tryout, and Old Knuckles was dazzling. I struck out 3 dudes. I struck out a dude on softball pitch, and it was absolutely crazy. I also hit a backside double in the tryout, and they were like, okay, this dude can hit a little bit. And my BP was hilarious. I was doing a lot of really really funny old timey impressions. Because whenever I was growing up, I've always done swing impressions. I've always loved to imitate MLB players.
Yep.
And as I started playing MLB The Show, there was a lot of old timey players that were in the game, and I started to do their stances too. So I was like, why don't I show up to Kansas City, my banana ball tryout? This was 3 days after we ended our season at Weatherford in the Super Regional, and I was like, okay, I'm not just going to go there as Fisher Polydoroff, the Renaissance man of languages and instruments and music, but I'm going to go and I'm going to dress up in a 1950s baseball uniform, and I'm going to play. I'm going to do everything. I was in character the entire tryout. I didn't break character until the very end when I talked to Coach Tyler Gillum for the Bananas, and everything went. It was very smooth. I impressed them. I was signing autographs for people that they'd seen me for the first time. Fans that were assured after that tryout that I was going to be a banana ball player. So it was very very cool.
That's awesome. Well, very cool, man. Well, we're at the end of the interview now, man. And there's one question that we have to ask, and we ask every single person that's on this show, and it's usually a hard one, man. And I'm gonna let you. You got it, Dylan? What you got?
I want to ask one more
You wanna
question
ask
before.
it?
It's just a quick one.
Oh,
It's
go
just
ahead,
a really
go
quick
ahead.
one, real
Go
quick.
ahead.
You got it, Dylan.
So you said you speak 3 languages. What are those 3 languages?
I speak Portuguese and Spanish. So
Okay.
I learned Portuguese first. I fell in love with Brazilian music from a very young age. A lot of older music, as you may know, I listen to anywhere from the 30s to current day music. But I fell in love with like 60s bossa nova. It's like a very like soft jazz from Brazil, and I fell in love with the language. I've dedicated so many hours to learning Portuguese, and I became semi-fluent by the time I entered high school Spanish. And whenever I was in high school Spanish, I tested out of a couple classes, and I was fortunate to have a really, really great teacher. Her name's Miss Cisne. She taught me a lot of Spanish, and I was able to become fluent in Spanish for in only 2 years after speaking Portuguese. So it's opened up so many opportunities and so many different connections in my life, and I'm very, very grateful for everybody who helped me learn those 2 languages.
That's super cool. Super cool. All right. We're going to use those in just a minute. All right, here's the last question. We always ask everyone, all right, you're walking up to bat. All right. Or your introduction to the mound. We'll go both ways. What's going to be your walkout song or your debut song?
So for the visitors, I had Shaboom by the Chords, Life Could Be a Dream. I sung that one in Savannah walking out to the mound. And I think they might have me do that as like a staple. It's a staple for Ole Knuckles. But another one that I will be waiting on doing for next year is "In the Mood" by Glenn Miller, a very famous kind of 20s swing jazz song that I feel like will go very, very nicely with Ole Knuckles.
That's it. You know what? Normally we get some Kendrick Lamar, or we get some Big X the Plug, or some Morgan Wallen, but there's that right there. That's good music. So
no doubt about it. Hey, they don't make them like they used to.
That's exactly right. Well, look, thank you very much for Mr. Knuckles and Fisher joining the show. An amazing episode, an outstanding player and person. Fisher, how can we find you on social media, man, and follow Ole Knuckles?
So my social media is at Fisher Polydoroff, FisherPolydoroff on TikTok, Instagram, and then I also have a TikTok account that I just hit 30,000 followers. It's called Oldies Fish, where I highlight and I perform 50s, 60s, and 70s music, especially at retirement homes too. So at Oldies Fish and at Fisher Polydoroff. And I just wanted to thank you guys for having me on. This has been awesome. I'm a huge fan of what you guys do, giving younger players a platform, and I wish you guys nothing but the best success, because there's going to be a lot of it to come with the growth of Bananaball too. There will be lots more people listening and wanting to join, and I'm glad to be a pioneer on this show. This has been marvelous.
Awesome. Well, dude, we appreciate your time as well, hearing your story and getting the chance to now really start following you throughout your journey in Bananaballs. So can't wait to see what next year holds for you. And make sure you go follow Fisher on all those social media platforms. And I'm gonna tell you, it most people you go follow, and you may see some stuff, but I promise you're going to see something really cool that you don't see on all the reels. So you're going to see something very unique. And Fisher, I think it's amazing what you've created. So, but again, thank you guys for listening to the show. Make sure you go, find us on YouTube, subscribe to us there. If you're listening to audio, go watch the video. Nick, Fisher was showing us some knuckleball tips and his grip and stuff. So make sure you go follow us on all of our social media platforms. And Dylan, I'm going to let you close this out, man.
All right. Until next time, Ole Knuckles.
We'll catch you on the slide.
Thanks for joining the action and sharing our love for the game. Now go practice your swing, or at least look like a pro in the mirror. Subscribe and follow the Slide Podcast and the Field Team on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all your favorite social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review, a thumbs up, and recommend us to every person you meet. Got a question? Drop it in your review. We might just answer it on the podcast. Keep grinding, dreaming big, and remember, there's nothing you can't accomplish. Till next time, we'll catch you on the slide.